In this video, I'm going to teach how to solve a 4x4, and learning how to solve a 4x4 after you have already learned a 3x3 is actually easier than learning how to solve a 3x3 from scratch. However, the totality of learning how to solve a 4x4 would actually require you to already know how to solve a 3x3. I'm going to start off with a piece comparison. For the corners, they're going to behave the same across both. For the edges, they are slightly different. Centers, however, they are very different. So 3 is an odd number and 4 is an even number. So this means that you have one piece right in the center for a 3x3, and this piece is locked to the core. It cannot move to a different location, it can only rotate, and it will tell you where the other pieces belong. For example, orange and yellow would mean that the orange and yellow edge would belong here. On a 4x4, we don't have a piece in the middle. Instead, the center pieces are just hanging pieces, and therefore there will be a need to memorize the color scheme. To memorize your color scheme, imagine that your cube is a planet with a north pole, a south pole, and an equator. So the color that you start first on 3x3 is going to be your south pole. I always start on red, so red is going to be the south. Of course, by default, the color opposite of red is going to become the north pole. So in this case, it's going to be orange. If you start on a different color by default, for example, you start on white cross on 3x3, then white will be your south, yellow will be your north. Then the equator will be a fixed sequence of 4 colors. So holding red on the left side, the sequence is going to be green, yellow, blue, white. Again, if you have a different south pole color, then you just memorize a different sequence. For example, if you use white as your south pole, then your equator is going to be red, blue, orange, green. On most modern 4x4s, you may also run into these two other types of pieces. These are actually this particular piece here and this particular piece here of a 5x5. Because even cubes are actually odd cubes who hide their middle layer, and like for solving purposes, you do not need to know about these two pieces, but if your cube ever explodes and you need to fix it back, you will probably need to know about them. The general overview to solving the 4x4 is to first take 4 centers and build them up like this, just like a 3x3 center. On a fully assembled cube, it's going to look something like that. Then next, we're going to take 2 edges of the same color and pair them together just like a 3x3 edge. So once you've done that, your cube should look something like that. And finally, what you're left with is 1, 2, 3. Notice that both the middle layers are now exactly the same as each other on its axis, and your 4x4 is basically reduced to a 3x3, and you can solve it with a 3x3 method. However, that 3x3 solve may not always run smoothly because there are 2 problems which are normally impossible on a regular 3x3, but they have a 50% chance of occurring each on a 4x4. And for both cases, no 3x3 algorithm is going to help you, and you will need to memorize one special algorithm each for the 2 cases. So we're going to start solving centers, and there are 2 general moves that we can make. The first are outer slice moves. These moves will only move one center within a face, it doesn't move the center to a different location. And the other are the double slice moves, and they will move a center to a different location. What we are going to do generally for every center is to make 2 bars of like 1x2 pieces, and we're going to join the 2 bars together. So let's focus on making our first red bar. So in this case, I need to line up 2 red centers. So to line them up, this one is on the bottom left, and its matching piece is going to be on the bottom right. So I'm going to make this piece move to the bottom right, and again, outer slice would not affect other pieces, they only rotate one entire center. So in this case, I'm going to do an outer slice to put this piece onto the bottom right. Now that these and that are lined up, I can use a double move to match them. First bar. So now I'm going to look for the last 2 red pieces. In this case, this is the other red and this is the other red piece, and I'm going to pair them up to make a bar. So again, I have to first align them. So this is on the bottom left. I'm going to move this one to the bottom right of this face so that they will line up properly. Again, just use the outer slice to line them up. Then to match them, you need to do the double slice. So match them, and now I have 2 red bars and I can put them together. So again, outer slice to align, double slice to match. You may also run into a scenario where 2 pieces are on the same face. In that case, you can just split them apart with a double slice, such as this on a different face, and then you can line them up and then move them back. After that, I can just pair them up. Another scenario I may run into is something like that, where after I align these 2 and I'm about to match them, they're going to break up the initial red bar that I made. So what you can do is just move the red bar out of the slice that you're going to use, because here the double slice is going to come vertically and cut the already made bar in half. So you're going to turn this bar like vertically such that when you slice, it's not going to cut through the bar, and then you're free to match up these two, and of course like finish off the center. To solve the orange center, we're going to do the same thing, make 2 bars and throw them onto the top. So okay, the default case is just to find 2 orange pieces and line them up. So in this case, they're already lined up. If they're not lined up, then we'll just need to look. Like this one is bottom left, and now I need a top left piece. So I'll move this piece to the top left, and then I can slice like that to pair them up. After that, it's just a matter of inserting to the top face. So in this case, when we insert, we will break up the red center. So what we'll do is just remember which slice we use to break up the red center with. In this case, we're going to use the left slice. So we're going to move this piece away from the left slice. Now that this is on the right side, we can now undo that left slice move we did earlier, and it will fix back the red. For the second bar, you can pretty much make it the same way as you make the first bar. So this top right, I need this one to be bottom right, and then I can pair them up like that. Inside the second bar, what we're going to do is we're going to align the 2 bars to be on the same side, and then we are just going to directly insert this bar in place, and this will knock out the first bar. We need to move these 2 pieces here, the newly solved bar, out of the right slice. So we move it to the left side using an outer move, and then again we just undo that right side going down. That will repair. You may also run into a scenario like that where 3 pieces are in the top layer. Imagine this bar is going to get kicked out, and just pay attention to this piece and solve it similar to the previous case. So in this case, we're going to match up these 2 pieces and kick out this bar at the same time. So make sure it's aligned. In this case, they are already aligned. This is bottom right, this is going to be bottom left. Then pair them up. And since we use the left slice, we want this to be out of the left slice. Then we undo the initial damage that we have done to this red and that other orange, and then that will fix the orange. For the last 4 centers, we are going to follow the color scheme that we memorized, which in this case, if we have done red first, the color scheme is going to be green, yellow, blue, white. We're going to do vertical slices so that these 2 will never be affected. And like every time you get a bar done, you can always, by default, you can just align it vertically, because like when you slice vertically, you won't damage an already made bar. In this case, I got lucky and I already have a pre-made yellow bar, so all I need to do is just, and then we can use the same logic on the last 2 centers. But for the last 2 centers, what you need to do is just focus on one color and ignore the other, because once you're, for example, let's say once we are done with blue, there's only one remaining place for the white centers to be. So in this case, this bar is already vertical, and then we just need to pair up these 2. This is the case where they're on the same face, but they're not aligned, so we just need to kick out one of them by doing a slice. In this case, we know that this is on the top left, and its matching piece is on the top right. So once we sliced it and split the 2 apart, we move this one to the top right, which is over here. We use the outer slice, and then we undo the slice. So now they're matched, and then we can just insert them. So line them up, slice, which kicks out the original bar but puts the new bar into the correct center. Then we move it away from the original slice that we used. So we use the right slice, we're going to move this piece to the left. Then we undo that right slice.